What is the best way to learn how to dance forró? Is that such a thing? Yes, some methods can be better than others when you're talking about learning how to dance forró. But we need to understand that every student is different, every person has their own way of learning, and we have to take this into consideration. One method that is great for one person is not necessarily great for another person. It has to do with the personality, has to do with the style of the instructor, has to do with the environment, even the price and accessibility of the course. They're all important things that we should have in mind and take into consideration when we're deciding what approach to take, how to learn forró. Based on my experience, more than 15 years dancing and more than 3 years teaching regularly, I compiled a list with 4 ways for you to learn how to dance forró. Pros and cons. Number 1, parties, shows, events. This is the way that many people get started with forró, especially in Brazil. You go to an event, you see people dance, you want to be part of it, you want to socialize with other people, and you invite someone to dance or someone invites you to dance, and it's a trial and error process. The pros. Number 1 is usually a long time that you have. If you go to a party where you have a live band and a DJ, usually you have like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to be dancing and practicing. So you have a lot of time to learn and practice your moves. Number 2, regarding our pros, is that usually there are many people with different styles, with different experiences. So there's a lot of diversity and you can experiment in your dance and dance with different people. Number 3 would be regarding the social aspect. The focus is on the social aspect. It's all about having fun, enjoying meeting people, which is a wonderful experience. And number 4 regards the price, that you're not paying for a class. You're paying for a party and you're getting this opportunity to learn as a bonus as part of the event. Let's talk about the cons in parties. Usually there's not much space to dance, depending on the party you go. But if you go to a party that many people going, you're not going to have much space to try your movement. So depending on the movement you want to learn or practice, you're not going to have that much space. Another element is that there's no one actively teaching you, unless you have a friend who is giving you tips or you're working on a move or trying to practice with a friend a movement. But in general, people are in the party just to socialize and to dance with other people. The social aspect is much more important than the learning aspect. You're rarely gonna get any kind of feedback. People in parties, it's not very polite to be, oh, you should do this or should do that. And I don't recommend people to do this. When I'm in party, I'm not a teacher. I'm just a dancer. I'm just there to dance. And most people have this mindset. So you're not going to get any feedback when you're dancing. And this can lead you to acquiring and reinforcing bad habits. And lastly, you need a little bit of social skills to be in a party. And depending on your personality, can be a little bit challenging. When you are in a class, you are there and everybody's going to dance with you because it's part of the social dynamic of these other kinds of classes. In the party, people are not there to dance with everybody. Everybody has a different reason to be in a party. They just want to be with their friends. They just want to dance with a certain person. They want to dance with everybody. Everybody has a different reason for being in the party and what they want from the moment. So you need some level of social skills to be active in the dance floor. And I feel this can be especially challenging for beginners because many times you don't know people there and you're not so confident about your dancing skills. So this can be a big con if you're just starting and you are not so much of an extrovert. My opinion about it, parties are wonderful for the fun and also to practice. Dance with different people, take all the movements that you know and try to perfect, to make them work, to adapt, to work on your musicality. I strongly recommend my students to use the parties and go to the parties for those reasons. But I think parties are not the best way to learn or to improve your dance. Number 2 is the regular classes, the group classes, the workshops, the festivals where you have some classes with guest instructors, all the situations where you are in a room with a group of people who are united to learn and you have one or more instructors. This is the way I learned how to dance, and actually let me just tell a little bit of my story in that regard. I think for about 1 year of my life, in my early 20s, I would go to classes 5 times a week and then to parties other 2 times. So it was like really the time of my life where I evolved as a dancer, and I did this because of this combination, and also especially because of the opportunity to be having this kind of exchange with other students and be supervised and have feedback from instructor. The pros. You are in an environment that is designed or is prepared for this kind of activity for you to learn. You're going to be surrounded by other people which are there with the same mindset. They are there to have fun and learn. And everybody is going to be accepting the mistakes and trying to work together and receive feedback and give feedback. So the environment is created for this kind of function, for you to learn. Another obvious reason is that you're going to have instructors. You're going to have people who have a high level of skill, knowledge, and they are there for the only reason or the main reason to share the knowledge with you, to give you feedback in the class, to show the movements, to break down the movements, to make it work for the students. The classes also usually have a theme or a main movement. So you're going to have all the time of this class to be working on certain skills. You're going to be practicing with everybody the same movements. So something that would be very hard to do in a party is very easy to do in a class because everybody's there to learn that movement. And you're not going to be a boring person if you're repeating this movement over and over and over and over and trying the same thing over and over and over, because people are there for their reason, because they want to practice and learn a particular skill. It's also a great way to get to know people in the forró community, to be part of a group of dancers, to socialize, to know people that maybe you go to the parties and you already know people who dance with. You already create this kind of bond with other dancers who have maybe a similar level of experience as you have, or if they have different kinds of experience and levels, they're going to also have this personal relationship. They're not going to feel shy or intimidated to dance with. And lastly is the price. I feel that of the options we're talking, it's usually a good cost benefit. It's usually not expensive to go to parties. I'm just going to use now as an example here in New York, just before the pandemic, the classes were $20 for 1.5 hours of class, and you would have discount if you were an association member of the Forró New York Association, or if you bought a package of classes. So usually it's much cheaper than, let's say, a private lesson. So usually the balance between price and what you're getting for it is very good. The cons. You're going to be depending on the instructor available. So if in your city you don't have a good instructor, or your timing doesn't meet, or if the class is in a different location, all these elements can be a con if you don't have access, or if you don't have an instructor that is of your liking. Also, you're going to be somehow limited to the schedule and the programming of this instructor. So usually, I'm going to use myself as an example. I create a plan of moves. So I create a schedule for my students working on different skills. And this is something I choose. Many times I open for my students and ask if there's anything in particular that they want to learn. But in the end, I'm the one deciding among the suggestions of the students. So this can be a pro or a con. If you have someone who plans very well and have a very fun and diverse classes, can be wonderful. But if you are in a situation where you don't like very much the steps or the style of the instructor, this can be a problem. And the other thing is that you depend somehow on the other students, the other participants of the class for the class, because you're dancing with the other people participating in the class. So if you have, this can be a pro or a con actually, right? So if you have a wonderful class, fun people, nice vibe, people in similar levels or different levels but willing to collaborate and dance together, this is gonna be a wonderful experience. On the other hand, if you have a class that has a little bit of a negative vibe or whatever is the reason that the group of people are not that fun or you don't feel comfortable, this can be a big con. My opinion about this kind of class, this is my number one. And the reason is that because I feel it's a good balance between different things. The social aspect, the learning part of it, the ambience, also the chance, the fun, and the price. There are many different factors that make this probably my number one choice. Number 3, private lessons. This is likely the best and fastest way for you to learn any movement, especially if you have a good instructor. Let's talk about our pros. I feel that the opportunity to be with 100% of focus of someone that has one expertise is likely the best you can get. The chance to ask questions, to get the full attention. Here also the opportunity to create and ask for the direction you want in your class. If you want to know a particular movement, or if you need to improve one element in your dance, to be able to really narrow your focus on this one element and have a good instructor working with you is excellent. The other thing is also the possibility to practice with your instructor. Usually an instructor would have a high level of skill, would have a lot of experience. So for you to be dancing again and again with this person, doing the movements the way they're supposed to be, there's no right and wrong in terms of movements. We have so many choices, but let's just say we have a right and wrong here for this video, is a wonderful way for you to be in the right path. And the other element is that you can have customized practices and exercises made for you for your needs. An attentive instructor is going to be looking at you and trying to figure out what you need and what you need to do to improve or overcome the challenge you have or to learn a specific movement. So this kind of customization you only get as part of a private lesson. The cons about private lessons: you don't have other people to interact and socialize. It's usually just you and your instructor. And the other element is price. I think it's likely the most expensive of all the options, of all the methods we're talking here, because you are paying for the full attention of the instructor and sometimes also for the room. My opinion, it's likely the best method for you to learn anything specific or to really improve fast in your dance, especially if you put this with other methods together, because if you have time to practice and then time to focus, I think is the ideal combination here. Number 4, and our last method of this list, is online classes, online courses, and other online possibilities that I'm going to be discussing in another video, in another blog. I feel that now, especially now because of this pandemic, is on demand. We have so many people now focus their attentions in this online universe, including myself, and it's a wonderful opportunity because of many reasons we're going to be discussing here. Pros. The first one is that you can learn with whoever you want if they're available online in the entire planet, because it doesn't matter if it's in São Paulo, if it's here in New York, if it's in Germany, whatever it is, you're going to have access, because online we have access to anyone who is online. So this is a big pro. Number 2 is that you can do whenever you want, especially, and here we're talking about on-demand content. If the instructor, like I'm doing, is recording all the content and making this content available for you to watch whatever and whenever you want, this is a big advantage because you're not relying on a schedule. You can do on your own time and you can repeat the lessons if you want. And the cons is that we don't have this in-person contact. This somehow limits the way we dance and the way we interact. So we don't have physical contact, and which changes very much the dynamic. So I think this is a big con of the online, that we don't have the possibility to feel the other person's body. And also in that regard, there is the challenge of communication, that I feel that depending on the method that you use, and once again, I'm going to be discussing this in another video, can be challenging to have this instant connection. Just a brief preview here. We have the possibility of doing online courses, also private lessons online. We have the possibility of just watching videos on YouTube. And some of the possibilities, more than others, put a limitation between the kind of contact between you and your instructor, and also talking about relationship with other people, with other students, which usually we have in a class, in a party. It can be much more challenging in an online environment. My opinion about online classes is that this is wonderful. It's wonderful that we have this tool at our service now, in this time we live now, in thinking about the future, because it creates many new possibilities. I believe it will never replace classes in person, parties, or private lessons, any of the other options we talked, but is a wonderful tool to complement the other elements, for you to have access to a particular instructor that you would not if it was not online, and also for you to be able to practice movements at home and also focus on elements that usually are not the focus in regular classes, but now in this online universe end up being our focus of attention. Styling, technique, musicality, those are all things that we can really work and focus deep online, and we don't rely on, we don't need a partner to practice. So this is usually the focus that, for example, I'm taking with my classes, and they're usually not the main focus when I have my regular classes here in New York, or even the topics that people ask from me in private lessons. Usually people in those situations, they want to focus on movements together, not on things alone. And in these online courses, we have this opportunity to focus on other elements and work other things. So I do believe that putting together online classes with the other methods is a wonderful thing. So in conclusion, there are many different ways with pros and cons that you can use to learn. And I actually believe that a combination of different methods is likely to be the most effective and faster way to improve your skills. Use complementary ideas and complementary methods. Maybe go to classes and then take a few private lessons with your favorite instructor. Maybe have online classes for you to work on your personal skills and practice at home, and go to parties to dance. If we combine all these methods, we can really improve as dancers. And in the end, the important thing is to have fun, is to enjoy, to do something that makes you feel good and also helps you enjoy more and more being part of this community of forró dancers, participating in parties and events, meeting people, and having a lot of fun. If you like this video, as always, please give us a like here on the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. There's a lot of content like this and much more to come. Also talking about this, I'm doing a series of videos, of these kinds of videos, discussing elements or best ways for the embrace, tips for musicality, characteristics of the best dancers. And I'm gonna also do a playlist, and I'm gonna make also available here on the description of this video. With that said, I want to say goodbye to you guys, send a virtual hug and a kiss. See you next time.